welcome to the show. Tonight in movie reviews, we're going to take a look at a film that shares similarities with one of my favorites of 2024, Blink Twice, and it focuses on the symbiotic relationship between artists and the media that's ultimately responsible for boosting them up or ripping them apart. In movie reviews, we're talking Opus. But let's not waste any time. Let's jump right on into things. If you haven't seen the trailer for this one before, this focuses on 90s pop superstar Alfred Moretti. Coming out of retirement to announce a new album, Moretti invites a group of the who's who's of today to his compound for a listening party where it's discovered that Moretti cohabits with a cult-like group called Levelist. While the guests might hear the greatest album of the year, they may not live to give their reviews. And there it is, folks. That is Opus. Now, again, I wanted to cover this one because after seeing it, I realized that it was eerily similar to one of my favorites of 2024, Zoe Kravitz's Blink Twice. If you have not seen that film, I highly recommend it. You can go check it out on Prime Video right now. That focus is on a couple of young women who go to this billionaire's private resort to go and spend a lush weekend away, only to find out that there's so many horrors waiting for them once they touch down. Now, that film focused on misogyny and a lot of the terrible things that can happen when you're dealing with somebody who has inherent misogyny within them. Opus very much is focusing on different topics like access and relevancy instead. Now, this story that again focuses on this group of who's coming to Moretti's compound, that group consists of the same people who could make or break you out in the real world today. Influencers, talk show hosts, radio DJs, paparazzi, journalists, their bosses. These are the people who really do have the power to make or break new and upcoming artists out there, or for our veterans that are out there, really give them a true shot at making a comeback. And within this group, our focus is going to be Ariel, played by Ayo Edebiri, who is looking for this big piece on Alfred Moretti, but it's ripped out of her hands when her boss instead wants to just live in this lavish lifestyle that Moretti has invited them all to. And with Ariel being this young black woman who's working for this white man, again, this is an opportunity that's taken away that you don't really know will ever have the chance to come back around to her. And that's really, really important here because especially in the entertainment industry, we know whether it's, in front of the screen or behind the screen, there's a limited amount of opportunities for folks who look like me. So to see Ariel's plight here of just wanting to write a good piece and not be enamored by all these things that Moretti is putting out in front of her and her boss and all these other guests, the fact that she can't even do that because she has to serve her boss's whims, that very much spoke to me. And it's clear that Ariel is really the only one who starts to pick up on some of the weird things that are going on around this compound. Whether it's a case of all of the levelists are wearing the same uniform and they're both talking and acting weird, whether it's following along her and this group super, super closely, the fact they have intimate barbers, they have very, very macabre puppet shows, oyster shucking huts, children practicing or playing with bows and arrows. There's a lot of stuff going around at this compound that if anybody wasn't allowing themselves to just be enamored and just fall in to all these distractions that Moretti's putting up, would very much start to question the safeties of their surroundings. And that is the one thing here that I love about what Opus sets up. Just like with Blink Twice, the audience is working through the point of view of our protagonist Ariel here. And we very much know something is wrong. Something's not right here at this compound, but yet we are the only ones who apparently see that. And we're kind of watching as events continue to escalate here with these levelists until we get to the absolute batshit insane third act. And speaking on access here, it's interesting that so many of them are ignoring what's largely in front of them, as again, they all took this opportunity just as a chance to get that access to Alfred Moretti in the first place. And in our real lives, do we really just ignore a lot of red flags, a lot of alarms and bells and whistles that go off so we can continue to have these kind of lavish lifestyles and have access to these people who kind of live that way as well too? Opus definitely focuses on the relationship between the creative world and the media and the dichotomy of both sides really needing each other in order to survive. And that's what makes Moretti in this so interesting. He ultimately doesn't give a damn about any of the people that he invited. This entire ordeal is really vengeance for Moretti for what the media has done to himself and to countless other artists throughout time. He's not looking for good reviews here with this music. He's not looking to get an in-depth interview out there. It all ultimately boils down to ego. And this is where Opus really, really works. John Malkovich is the one playing Alfred Moretti, and it's an unconventional choice for the biggest pop star of the 90s. We've seen a number of projects that Malkovich has done before, and he's never played anything like even slightly close to Moretti in this. And Moretti is eccentric for the grand majority of this film and somewhat outlandish, but Moretti's demeanor almost implies that he's like a prisoner for the levelist as well too. And at least when we get that grand reveal, Malkovich goes back into that familiar despicable energy that we know. But I found that very interesting that at least the way that Malkovich played it in this film, it didn't seem like Moretti was really the one in charge of everything that was going on. That at a certain point, and I think y'all can probably think of a group of other cult-like folks who are out there that work very closely with pop culture and the superstars within it. But it just seems like maybe this was a case to where this group, the Levelists, became aware of Moretti in the 90s and kind of jumped on that stardom as a way to infiltrate themselves with him and continue to kind of spread their message around the world. But either way, Malkovich is tremendous here in this role. Honestly, I'd be okay seeing John Malkovich play a few more pop stars because he's got the chops for it for sure there. He fits in it so well that you don't question it at all while we're going through it here. Now, while we have a star-studded cast and people like Juliette Lewis, Tony Hale, Murray Bartlett, Amber Midthunder, and Young Mazzino, again, we are very much honed in on Malkovich and Ayo Edebiri as our leads on this one. And it's actually kind of cool to see Edebiri in a role like this. We mostly know her from doing FX's The Bear or comedies like Big Mouth or Bottoms. And in the kind of roles that she's known for playing, a more modern type of protagonist, we see that at work here in Opus as well too. You know, Ariel is not somebody who's letting the wool be pulled over her eyes by all these lavish surroundings. And she's able to work out fairly quickly that what starts out as being a weird set of circumstances is actually becoming more and more dangerous, and there's something incredibly sinister going on behind the scenes. And just like the audience would be, she's largely ignored as the voice of reason. Like, it can't be that bad. Why would a pop superstar all be inviting us to our own depths? And I very much appreciated seeing Ariel not become infatuated like the folks in the media definitely can when they're given access to people like this. When shit gets weird, she is ready to get going. And I think that you could try to tell a story to where her character ends up falling into some of the lash experiences that are thrust upon her here. But I think it's a much stronger story to have somebody who doesn't fall into that trap at all. They know that something's going on, and no matter how much they're trying to beg and plead with everybody to notice it, it still continues to fall on deaf's ear. And Edebiri is more than adept here in this role. Again, somebody who has just been thrilling us on screens for quite a while at this point, and then continue to doing it in her very young career. Now, I will say there's not much in the way of scares here, but when the killing does get going properly, the brutality of it all can definitely be alarming for sure. For the most part, everything is saved until the third act reveal of what's actually going on with Moretti and this cult and the danger that this group is truly in by being here on the island. We do get a death earlier on in it, but outside of that, most of the exciting elements really don't happen until the end of the film. And again, the brutal nature of all of those could really get under a lot of y'all's skin out there checking this one out. With that said, for good measure and a little bit more blood, I did mention that there was like an oyster shucking hut earlier. There's a scene involving that oyster shucking hut that once you get the setup of it, it's fairly bloody and fairly presumable, but still quite effective in making you wince a bit once it happens. Again, everything in this film is so good that even with the limited number of scares, that's not really missing, honestly. I don't think adding a couple more into this would have really added more to the plot itself. This is really more supposed to be a thriller than it is just an outright horror film. I will say, though, I very, very much appreciated Moretti's music in this. John Malkovich actually sang 3 songs for the soundtrack on this, which were produced and written by Nile Rodgers and The Dream. And they were actually really, really good tracks, y'all. I was genuinely disappointed that we only got 3 of these here because I for sure would have listened to an entire album, y'all. The 35 millimeter, the song that he performs at the listening party, that thing is tremendous. In the last year, when it's come to fake pop stars and fake music that we've gotten in horror films, we've gotten Naomi Scott's Sky Riley, we've gotten Seleka Night Shyamalan's Lady Raven, and now we have John Malkovich's Alfred Moretti. We need a tour. We absolutely need a tour here with these 3 pop behemoths. Let's make that happen. Let's make that happen here, y'all. That would be the tour to end tours. So, Malkovich and Adebri's performances in this, combined with a phenomenal soundtrack and a very tense third act, lead to a big winner here from first-time writer-director Mark Anthony Green. That said, it is not lost on me that Green is a former journalist and editor for GQ, and I have to guess that some of Ariel's plight comes from first-hand experience. Opus gets 4 platinum albums out of 5. This is definitely one of my favorites of the year. I want y'all to go check that one out and let me know in the comment section what you ultimately thought of it. But while you're doing that, also make sure you go and get subscribed to my link tree because we got so much good stuff coming y'all's way. I don't want you to miss any of the horror content I have coming out for you. You can do that by going to linktr.ee/T scary movie. If you get subscribed, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio-only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, my TikTok page for movie news, movie premieres, and movie reviews, my Twitch page for horror gaming, and my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Hit that subscribe button, folks. Again, we got more great content coming out for you here. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking the season finale of The Last of Us Season 2. We're going to be jumping into episodes 3 and 4 of Season 1 of The Bondsman. And then we are going to get started up with Year 4 of the After Dark Horror Fest. I don't want y'all to miss any of that. We got Dangerous Animals coming up, The Ritual, so much good stuff I don't want y'all to miss out there. And don't forget to go check out my advanced review of what is one of the best horror films of the year coming out this weekend, Bring Her Back. You can find that all on my channel right now. But that's going to do it for me tonight, y'all. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.